excuse my cheesy grin, but I've literally been waiting all my life for this moment. I've driven all kinds of supercars, but until now I've never driven a Lamborghini Countach, and we're in one now. So if you'll excuse me, I've got some driving to do.
Born in an age well before celebrity Instagram accounts, the Lamborghini Countach is the original A-list supercar. With its scissor doors, spaceship looks and spectacular performance, the world had never seen anything like it. Indeed, it still hasn't. Built in 1981, this particular Countach is an LP 400S, one of just 82 Series 3 models built. A matching numbers car fitted with a fire-spitting 4-litre V12, topped with 6 snorting dual-throat Weber carburettors, it promises a driving experience as unforgettable as its looks and soundtrack. Thanks to our friends at RM Sotheby's, we've been given the chance to find out ahead of the car's auction appearance in Paris.
So here we are in a Lamborghini Countach. What does it feel like? Well, as you'd hope, it feels ridiculous in a lot of respects and completely wonderful in every other. It's the archetypal hero supercar still. It's been with us for well over 40 years. It's hard to imagine the impact that this car would have had back in the day. This particular model is an LP 400S, which means it shares the original 4-litre 6 carburettor V12 from the original LP 400, but the body grew with those big unmistakable wheel arches to accommodate Pirelli's then brand new P7 tyre. So the look of the car changed, but mechanically same as before. Suspension wise, the car was changed to suit the new grippier tyres. It just feels completely alive from the moment you get in the car. It's a living, breathing thing. Like you, I've read so much about this car, and everything, or pretty much everything I'd read, suggested it was heavy and awkward and difficult and just quite a recalcitrant thing to drive. But first impressions are, there's a certain physicality to it. The steering is unassisted and heavy at low speeds. But like most cars of this era, once you're moving, the steering frees up. The gearbox has a little bit of heftiness to it. You can't rush it, but you need to be decisive. The clutch is quite heavy, but again, not the calf busting thing perhaps stories back in the day led you to believe. It's a pretty horrible day. It's cold, greasy and wet, so you can't really feel all the grip that these big fat tyres will give. But the limits are pretty modest by today's standards. It's really all about that motor behind you. It's such an exciting thing to be this close to. Again, like the limits of grip, the sheer performance it has, whilst it's impressive, 375 horsepower is not a huge amount by today's standards. The fact that it comes at 8,000 RPM is pretty impressive though. And it's one of those cars that builds and builds and builds, so whilst it's not neck-snappingly quick off the mark, each gear just gives you this fabulous shove of power and acceleration. I'm not sure I'd want to be in it at its quoted top speed of 180. My God, they can make an engine at Lamborghini, can't they? The brakes, as you can probably imagine, they're okay, but they wouldn't stand up to the sort of punishment you would expect from a modern car. But that kind of informs the way you drive it. It's a more progressive, more flavoursome drive. You feel the car working. It's just something to savour. It's really nice to feel the machine working. You can feel things are operated by cables and switches, and you can feel the gears mesh. It's a much more intimate experience. Just what you'd hope. Of course, just being in the car is something extraordinary. It's wherever you look, there seems to be something in the way. I can't see anything out of that mirror because of the A-pillar. This A-pillar basically comes out of the side of my head, so I can't really see much when I'm trying to turn into this corner. You get a fabulous view straight ahead and all this weird square-edged stuff going on in the cockpit. The driving positions are all over the place, the wheels that way, my feet are that way, and my legs are splayed. But somehow it doesn't really matter, it's all part of what makes this car. There's nothing else like it. I think when I imagined my first drive in a Countach, it probably wasn't on a grey old day in Lincolnshire, I have to be honest. But it's lived up to all my hopes. I'd love to drive one again. I'd love to drive a really early one to understand the progression that this car represents. But if you are a collector of supercars and you don't have a Countach, then I really think you ought to be at RM Sotheby's auction, because it's absolutely fantastic.
To see more from RM Sotheby's Paris auction, why not watch our drive of the fabulous Mercedes 300 SL, or click on the link to learn all about the other cars set to go under the hammer. Whatever you do, make sure you tune in here on Evo's YouTube channel for live coverage of RM Sotheby's Paris auction. The action starts at 7 p.m. Central European Time on Wednesday, February 3rd.